freaking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Players Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, good evening to you.
Gentlemen, it's great to be here. We just filed away the stories. I understand the chat was, let's just call it a little impatient, but we are here. We're running 3 wide, kind of like they were down the stretch there at TPC Sawgrass most of the afternoon. And, tournament of the year by far.
We'll call them excited. I think they were excited to start the show. Maybe bordering on impatient, but that's okay. They were excited. Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, why don't you just say that?
There's nothing else to say. What a week. This was by far the best tournament of the year. And my litmus test on this is the first tournament that I have been on my feet with excitement, right? Off the couch, off the chair in my office in excitement, making audible noises of yeses and nos. Just, it was thrilling as a fan. Now, I always find it interesting and insightful, and there's always great storylines to follow. But this one, I was a legitimate fan, and it was really cool.
Entertaining wire to wire is what I tweeted, Patrick, because I think back to Thursday when Rory made 10 birdies and put 2 in the water and still shot 8 under par. And the conclusion of this event, which was in jeopardy while the ball was halfway down on 18 in the final moments. I mean, that is literally wire to wire for me.
I was in the same boat, Greg. I was on the edge of my seat at some shots, some as a fan, some as a hater, to tell you the truth. I needed a few things to go my way late for probably my ego and some of my takes in the past. But Rick, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's like you couldn't catch a breath this entire week, from Rory, Spieth, Victor, then Scottie Scheffler injures his neck on Saturday on Friday. Saturday was an incredible moving day. And then down the stretch today, honestly, all of today was like whiplash.
The final 4, and it was undecided. I mean, literally undecided, Greg. There was a chance there was an outcome, a run out that we could have gotten on the final hole, where we were in a 4-way playoff between 2 of the reigning major champions and 2 of the top 5 players in the world.
That was very much in play. You know, looking at the hole locations before this round today, I did think there was some opportunity for excitement. The whole location at 17, which is traditional and very challenging, also allows you to kind of feed the ball in there, or you can get it close without hitting it right at it. So there is an opportunity to make a 2 there if you hit a bold shot. You had number 12 with a low hole location. I thought you could see an eagle there late for somebody to make a charge. 13, kind of that hole-in-one pin location, another low one. And 18, being in the front left, is in a little bit of a bowl. And I really thought that would give some players an opportunity to make a critical birdie late. So knowing all of that and looking at the scores, of course, you have 16 as well. It really felt like if you posted a number, there were going to be a lot of bullets to dodge coming down the stretch. And that's exactly what happened.
It felt like the only top player we were missing was Russell Henley. That would have really sealed the deal.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, a lot of asterisk talk, ether in the air everywhere, really, this entire season. And, they were saying about the Players Championship too coming into the week. And I think at the end of the week, some of those takes might have been correct, because Russell Henley wasn't around during the weekend. He just ran out of holes. If this golf tournament was 100 holes and the cut was after like 45, he was getting so hot on that back 9 on Friday. So hot. He was going, Scottie Scheffler's lucky. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay.
Clip that.
Here is what we have a brand new Players Champion who is the old Players Champion, because for the first time in event history, we have a successful title defense. The guy who 9 days ago didn't win enough golf tournaments now is winning too much. His name is Scottie Scheffler. And Greg, we were kind of talking about this just before we went hot here. The moment that this all changed, at least for me, was when he holed out for eagle on number 4 from 92 yards in the fairway. And he was then at that point 2 shots back. And I said, here, it's over. It's coming. No, he looks healthy. The ball is moving off his club. He's getting a little bit lucky with a hole. Like, it's over. It's Scottie time.
There was, well, first of all, I thought on Thursday when he shot that 67 that just looked like it was a walk. Literally, it looked like he walked around the golf course. There was no sign of trouble. He hit nearly every fairway. It was 12. He was hitting every iron shot right at the flag. And it just looked like the worst he could have shot was 67. And that was going to continue throughout the week. Then on Friday, I'm covering Scottie's featured group on Sirius XM, and all of a sudden he's like, out of the corner of my eye, I see Scottie with like in a chair with some. I thought at first somebody was like looking through his hair, like he had a tick in there or something, because I just barely caught it. And then they went back to that shot, and I'm like, oh, what? He's hurt. And then it didn't look like anything fazed him. It was still the same. Everything right at the flag, hitting every single fairway. So I was, it's over. Then this could be a problem. And then, Rick, I'm right there with you today. After he fails to make birdie at number 2, I was like, he probably needed every par 5. But he got the bonus at 4 when that one went in. And it was something special.
The eagle on 4, the birdie on 5, 2 more circles at 8 and 9. Scottie makes the turn in 31, Patrick, and now he is fully engaged in this championship. He is out in front of that the Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele group, and of course, out in front of Brian Harman. And it's becoming a math game. How many holes does Scottie need to birdie to get it into the clubhouse? What are these other guys going to do behind him? Are they going to have a chance? But this was another phenomenal Sunday from Scottie. Statistically, he gained over 7 strokes to the field. To put that into perspective, he's done that 3 times in his career in the final round. He's done it 2 Sundays in a row. So Scottie, Patrick, is playing pretty well when the money's on the line.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. And he erases that 5-stroke deficit by turning in 31. He's tied for the lead heading to the back 9, gives himself a good look on 10, doesn't convert, gets up and down from the bunker on 11, and then the drive on 12 was just masterful. I think one of the most underrated parts of Scottie Scheffler's game this week in particular was his driving accuracy. We saw guys struggle to hit the fairway down the stretch. Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele, Brian Harman all got in trouble because they missed a fairway. Scheffler missed 2 fairways all day, and it allowed his iron play to really shine through. I mean, he gained almost 6 strokes ball striking today, which is ridiculous. He misses that birdie there on 13 from just about 4 feet, kind of snapped across the hole. Really ticklish putt there, and tacks on 16. I was so impressed by his game plan on 16. It was still very conservative, right? I mean, being able to be okay missing left in that bunker or in that fairway area, wherever it would have ended up, but it ended up in that bunker, and kind of taking what the hole gave him. It's vintage Scottie Scheffler. He always hits the right shot. On 17, I think on the broadcast, they said it was easier for the guys in the last group because they knew they had to go for it. I mean, Scottie Scheffler he doesn't need to do anything special here. Middle of the green, 2-putt par, 18, splits the fairway. Honestly, got like a pretty bad bounce on the approach. 16 feet to get to 21 under, doesn't make it, but it's just his ball striking combined with his decision making it's a lethal combination.
I'm glad Patrick mentioned that stretch 11, 12, 13, because Greg, that's where I was feeling it. Like I was tingling. That was him getting up and down from the greenside bunker on a bunker shot that sat so softly. He drives the green on 12, exactly pin high, 2 putts for birdie. He hit the best shot he hit during the stretch was he stuffed it on 13 and he missed the putt. I mean, it was just, he was playing a different game than everybody else was. That was a phenomenal short game shot. It was an unbelievable drive. It was an absolute dart from 153. It was all facets except the missed putt, but whatever. I was lathered up.
The second putt at 12, he ran that one by a little bit, and that could have been an issue in the past. If you look at what he's done in past weeks, there were a lot of those putts today where you think back to number 9, where that probably 3 putts that 4 weeks ago. You look at the one on 12, could have 3-putted that 4 weeks ago. And at the same time now, with the confidence in these short putts, you look at 12 as probably, how close is that to catching the ridge and ended up 8 feet, like a tap-in eagle? The one on 11 is a yard away from carrying and being 10 feet for eagle. Mm-hmm. This is a 64 in a final round on Sunday where he didn't really make a whole lot of putts. That could have been 62 easily. And that's not even considering strengths. That's considering the short one he missed at 13. He missed another short one early on. Anyway, I don't remember exactly where it was, but I think he missed 2 putts inside of 10 feet today. And so very, very quickly could have been a 62.
I'm old enough, Patrick, to remember when Scottie Scheffler couldn't win. It was just 2 weeks ago. And I just cannot get over the warp speed of this game. We were literally seeing the most frustrated version of Scottie Scheffler that we have ever seen. A guy who could not buy anything. A guy who looked like he was ready to lose it. 8 days later, API win, Players Championship win, $8.5 million. Just like, I just cannot believe the speed of this. What probably feels like 1 million pounds lifted off his shoulders.
A couple things happened during that time, Rick. The first, I so to speak, lifted that eye test curse by picking him in the one and done at the API. Really just opened the floodgates when it comes to Scottie Scheffler as his handler. And like you said, whether it's the putter, whether it's putting without a line, the contrast from today to Riviera, he looks like a completely new man on the greens. He entered the API more likely to hit a green in regulation than he was to convert a 4-footer. His green in regulation rate was like 81%. His 4-foot percentage was 80%. And now, like Greg said, those were huge putts today. That 5-footer on 12, that's a putt a couple weeks ago you're nervous over. And it's today you're like, oh, he's just going to brush it in. And when you have that, kind of just like not needing to stress about it, not having your putter potentially leak into the rest of your game. Like I said, I just want him to burn them all at this point. Just keep on winning. I want like a record amount of wins, and picking off this one's a great add to that.
One other thing here, Rick. There was another putt I wanted to mention on 11, and this was a close one, but far enough away where you may worry about it for Scottie a couple weeks ago. And Brad Faxon was talking about how he was talking about it as if he had already made it. Like he expects to make these now. And I'm thinking, oh no, this isn't a curse, right? This isn't going to be an announcer's curse. and he brushed it right in. And it symbolized to me the change that you guys are mentioning. But it also, this entire performance symbolizes his ability to get through those really difficult moments like Genesis, where he cannot buy a putt and continue with the great ball striking. He didn't have to sacrifice his tee to green play at all to solve these putting issues. And that's extremely underrated with what he has done. Typically, when players have to go into a deep dive to solve an issue, another one pops up. It has happened time and time again. It's happened to Jordan Spieth through his entire career. And Scottie's tee to green play is just locked in like I've never seen. The saying, you don't own the golf swing, you rent it. Well, if he's renting it, it's a long term with an option to buy.
Rent to own situation.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
If Odyssey sold about 1 billion of the jailbirds, thanks to Wyndham Clark and Ricky Fowler, TaylorMade should sell about 1 billion of those spiders that Scottie's using. Because if you could make that guy a putter in 8 days, watch out. We're going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about the rest of the leaderboard, which literally came down to the final hole for a couple of guys. We'll recap our one and done and all that fun stuff. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
The blackout mystery remains.
Welcome to March Madness. Oh! You just never know in the tournament who is going to shine.
Stream March Madness live on any device, anywhere, and be ready for anything.
And we're back. Scottie Scheffler finished at 20 under par. That's good enough for victory. 3 golfers finished at 19 under. Let's start with the guy who went into the day with the lead. That would be one Xander Schauffele. And Xander went out in 34. He made a birdie on 12. The heat was getting turned up. And then Patrick, a couple of late stumbles, bogeys on 14 and 15, a missed 6-foot putt on 17. That would have been for birdie. It would have been to tie Scottie Scheffler and get to 20 under par. All of those things went the opposite way coming down the stretch.
They did. And look, I was impressed with Xander for most of the week. But you have to understand, one, he's going through some swing changes at the moment with Chris Como. And you look at where he stumbled this final round. All of the misses were to the right. The drive on number 4, he was very lucky that stayed dry to begin with. He was like an inch away from the water hazard. Big, loopy wipe to the right. The second shot into 11 from the fairway, leading to a par when, you got to make birdie on that hole. Not a great swing out to the right. The bogey on 14 misses the fairway to the right. The bogey on 15 misses the fairway to the right. The 18th hole, you got to split the fairway, give yourself a chance to put something close, misses it to the right. So, one, I almost thought it was going to be his week. I really did. I wasn't rooting for him because I'm an unbiased journalist, of course. But he had that makeup of just like he was getting up and down from everywhere. Everywhere. His short game was ridiculous the entire week, where it's like, oh, I guess we're doing this. I guess we're doing this. But the rights, and then 17 was, I don't want to say vintage, but it was really a poor effort. And so here are a couple stats for you. 13th runner up on the PGA Tour. I saw that on Twitter, so I don't know if that's true.
Perfect.
16th time in the final group on the PGA Tour. He's won twice.
That's a
in
bad
that position.
I've seen that. I saw that one too. That's pretty bad.
That is, and those wins were the Travelers and the Genesis Scottish Open in his last 2 wins, and he held the lead in both of those instances. But at the end of end of the day, he shoots 70. The field average was 1 under. It was playing easy out there. And it was just another example of him not going and grabbing a tournament. He's going to be super consistent. He's going to give you the same thing. And that's going to be enough to give you some wins sometimes or not. But the Players' Championship is a championship you have to go out and grab. And he just didn't do that.
Greg, what is there to say? Unfortunately for Xander, this performance has become a little bit consistent. The great play, the getting yourself in contention, and the inability to close it for a variety of reasons. Maybe somebody like Scottie Scheffler goes out and shoots a 64 and beats you. Maybe you miss a putt late that probably should have gone in, or you make a big mistake. Whatever it is, the evidence is mounting against kind of what we would hope that Xander would be, which is like this guy who gets in contention a lot, who's a great player, who starts to close. It just hasn't happened for him.
Yeah, and it gets a lot of attention because he is there so often. You know, it's a lot of second place finishes. It's a lot of time spent in the final group, which doesn't happen if he can't play. His game is good enough to be number one in the world. You know, if you look at the 4 areas that we often look at, which are the 4 strokes gained areas, he's good enough in every one to be the best player in the world. But these are the kind of things, these are the kind of hiccups that seem to cost him. Today's performance, I didn't think was traditional Xander in contention. You know, he started to fade a little bit on 14 and 15. And I think those are excusable. They're really challenging holes, and he got himself into tough lies. And to say, well, you just had to hit the fairway is, you know, that doesn't always happen. So it's understandable. The birdie at 16 was big to give himself a chance. The shot at 17 it's a big time shot in a big time moment. But unfortunately that one slides by, and it feels like it's always something preventing the win. And even when he does close it out and win, like the Scottish and the Travelers and the Olympics, it feels like it is a real challenge. So, you know, I don't know what it's going to take for Xander. Maybe needs to go speak with Julie Elion, like Wyndham Clark, because I think there's a lot of similarity there. You know, Wyndham Clark improved his game largely with his attitude and the way he went about thinking about it. And it could be something, I don't even want to say small, but you know, there could be something that Xander's doing in his process that just gets a little worked up in these moments. But I know he has the game to do it, and that's why we talk so much about it. But all in all, today's performance, I don't think it was vintage Xander. I thought he got beat today, let a couple get away. But all in all, it was pretty darn good.
Can I put my tin hat on for a second?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, we welcome that.
I was wondering or worried or thoughtful, I don't know what the word is, that if Xander would have won this tournament, it would have, in my opinion, exponentially increased the odds that he goes to live, because he'd be in major championships, right? So if you've been flirting with the idea of going, and now you're in majors, and now you're way more valuable as a Players' Champion, and you go sign a massive deal, like that'd be very easy to see happening. But now he's still kind of like, well, I'm not going to play in any majors. I don't know. I don't think I can go.
Not only that, but he would have had to take a picture with Jay Monahan after saying earlier in the week that he didn't trust the guy. So in the back of my mind, I was rooting for that as well.
You were rooting for him to exit stage left or to take a picture with Jay Monahan.
To win, so he had to take a picture with Jay Monahan.
Okay.
I mean, talk like just a couple like awkward guys. That would have been awesome. What is the Players' Championship major exemption? What do you get?
3 years in all?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Okay. I did not know that, honestly.
No, go sign a little 3-year deal.
I understand where you're coming from with that, Rick, but there's this one thing that is just so confusing to me, and it's Patrick Cantlay's role with the board on the PGA Tour. And it felt like last year these two guys were going to be a package deal and go to live, and then you find out that Patrick Cantlay is like actually running the PGA Tour. So I don't know what's true and what isn't, but that aspect to me is just so confusing, and I don't think they could part ways.
Patrick Cantlay running the PGA Tour is a true the call is coming from inside the house situation.
The coup d'etat Cantlay, as Eamon Lynch calls him, the coup that got all the players stirred up. Remember Adam Scott and Ricky Fowler taking to Instagram defending him last year? But I think Cantlay and Monahan, prior to some decisions that were made, were very close. They always played in like pro-ams together at tournaments. So I think he kind of shuffled him in the side door. As for Xander, though, I don't know if he can take like a punch, It seems like every time he gets punched, it's like a knockout. And then you look at his playing partner today, who got punched like the entire weekend. It seems like he was clearly not on his A game, but he was still like right there hanging tough. And I want to see, like, he doesn't have that, like, he did a little bit today with 16 and 17, but he missed the putt. But I need to see him get punched and get back up.
Xander Glass Chin Schauffele.
Yeah.
His boxing nickname.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to look at it, Patrick. That could very much be the issue, because it happens so often when you're watching a tournament. You feel like somebody makes a mistake and it's over for him. And then when certain guys, his playing partner is a great example, all of a sudden, they stay in it and now they have a legitimate chance on the last hole. And you're kind of, wow, I was wrong on that. I know I felt that way a lot before. And maybe Xander looks at it the same way that we do, where other guys, like you were asking before the show, does Scottie think he had a chance to win today? It's like, well, we probably didn't, but he probably did. And after a big mistake, does Xander start thinking that his chances are over, and are other guys thinking that they still have a chance? Is there a difference there? It's a good question.
Well, Xander's playing partner, Wyndham Clark, shot a 3 under 69 and fell just short, more on that in a second, of getting himself into a playoff. It was out in 2 under, bogey free 2 under there, Patrick. He did give one back at number 10, and then it was an up and down type of back 9, but literally down to the last stroke he took, he was in this again at another big time event.
He was in it again, and I think for him, and he'd probably even admit this over the weekend, especially compared to the first 2 days, I mean, his game just wasn't anywhere close. But I would say even on the greens in particular, right? You look at number 2, for example. I mean, he came out looking much better today compared to yesterday. Hits his second to like just outside 4 feet for eagle, misses that one, converts birdie, makes some nice putts, a really nice up and down on 8, a nice birdie after missing the fairway on 9. Then he comes back and misses a short one on 10 after. I mean, do we want to talk about that drop as well? The internet sleuths were at it again with him stepping on grass and then dropping on that grass. I didn't see it. I'm not accusing him of anything.
I've never really heard this argument before of like, you're stomping down like, where's he supposed to stand? But I also made a mental note the last time this happened that I was going to, the next time I saw anybody take a drop, I was just going to watch their feet and just kind of see where they are. And I forget every single time because I think it's so outrageous. Where's he supposed to?
The thing is, look, I totally agree. Like, I don't think there was malicious intent behind it, but let's look at what has happened lately at Pebble Beach when he hooked one left on maybe 16. It was, he was in the high grass. He got a free drop, I think, from an animal hole. Shout out to Bryson DeChambeau. and he trampled a lot of the high grass there, got a nice drop, got a clean look at the ball. You had the API incident that got Brandel Chambly all riled up, calling him out. And then you had this incident as well. I am not accusing him of anything, but it is clear Wyndham Clark and grass, there's something there, potentially.
I have breaking news. Josh, can you share my screen, please? Thank you. Patrick McDonald on, oh gosh, what is that? Friday, tweeted this, which is a screenshot of Scottie Scheffler doing the patented Scheffler shuffle. And he says, I swear Scheffler's just effing around with everyone at this point. Very good job keeping that PG rated. Then what happened after that is Josh Siegel said this should be the new logo of the players if Scottie goes back-to-back. Well, Patrick, I'm happy to tell you the PGA Tour has responded.
Wow. And look, I got to give a tip of the cap to PGA Social this week as well. They were fantastic. Ben Silverman, you guys see that clip
of him warming up with wedges?
And
yes,
missing the green. That was a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece.
I forgot
he wasn't even close.
Because I forgot because I was just like, oh, like did it go in or not? And like as soon as it didn't go in, I was like, oh, okay. But I forgot that he completely missed the green.
It was a masterpiece. I put it up there with Dune 2 as the best movies I've seen recently. But that's great. PGA Tour Socials, I know a few girls on the team. They've been they kind of cooked this week, I would say.
Do you have a trademark on this? Imagine if this goes any farther and you're going to have to try to get your royalties on this.
Yeah, I think it might be tough to trademark one, Scottie Scheffler, and two, a screen grab from PGA Tour Live. But I know a few good lawyers, so maybe there's an avenue there.
Yeah, listen, anything is possible. Greg, the agony on the 18th green, because like I said, the way this shook out, Scottie posts 20 under. He's got to dodge a putt from Brian Harman, we'll talk about in a second. He's got to dodge a birdie from Xander Schauffele. That doesn't happen. But the best look was Wyndham Clark's. And the shot link number was 17 feet 4 inches, kind of back up the hill on almost the exact line that we just watched Brian Harman putt from 15 minutes prior to that. It looked good the entire way. It did almost a full 360. It was down. It was halfway down. The sick part is Wyndham double clutched the fist pump twice. And he thought it was down. And for that guy, that little thing to pop out was just the cherry on a full throttle entertaining week.
I was stunned and out of my chair. I could not believe that didn't go in. I have never seen a worse slip out in a bigger moment. They mentioned some on the broadcast. None of them were to force a playoff. They're in the third round to shoot a scoring record or something like that, which I know those are big deals, but not like this. On the 72nd green, to see a ball do a 360 lip out from 17 feet is stunning. It was stunning. I feel gutted for Wyndham. Now, I'm thrilled that Scottie won. I wanted Scottie to win, but that was nasty. My wife and kids, they went out for a little bit today towards the end of this and came back, and I told my wife, Scottie won, and she was kind of, oh, really? I said it was unbelievable. Oh, the number one player of the world won? Oh, that's
big shot.
She said that's sick. And then this replay came up, and I said, watch that. This was to force a playoff. And she was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. And
it's like how he won.
Yeah. I was, like I said, just blown away, and I feel gutted for him. I was so impressed. I love your analogy, Patrick, of being able to take one on the chin. And there were so many.
He was purple and blue after this week. It feels like.
And all of a sudden he's on the 18th green with a putt to tie. Like, this guy won't go away.
Right, which with after birdieing 16 and 17, that putt doesn't go down.
Yeah, it's just not meant to be, I suppose, is the only way to say it. The only way to say it. And just killer. The shot he hit into 16 also was ridiculously good.
11 feet.
It could have gotten a whole lot closer. Yeah. Kind of looked like it slowed up in the fringe quite a bit. I mean, that's a bounce away from being tapping. So I was so impressed with Wyndham Clark. I thought he was going to win today. I thought he was going to get to 21 under, which he clearly had in the tank. He had some great shots early on. The missed putt at 2 was sickening as well. And that shot he hit in there was so good. So I'm just blown away with Wyndham Clark and his game. And I think he and Scottie Scheffler are going to have a few more battles in big time events coming down the rest of the way this year.
Yeah. Feels different when Wyndham's fired up and rolling. Brian Harman's weekend, or even Brian Harman's final 3 rounds, Patrick, 65, 64, 68. He does that thing where he gets hot and gets himself in the mix with birdies on 7, 8, 9, and 11. He too had a chance to make birdie on the 18th and push this thing into a playoff. He hit a what I thought was a much better shot from the pine straw than the result. It kind of checked up on him and did not release. Had a very similar putt to Wyndham Clark, the official. That was 17 feet 4 inches. So I mean, they were almost identical. Did not get as good of an effort, but Brian Harman taps in for par, taps in for a 68. It's going to be a tie for second at another big time event.
Yeah, and ever since the Players has moved to March, Brian Harman has really emerged at TPC Sawgrass. Top 10, I believe, the first year, T3 on his resume as well. Now he has a T2 there also. And I think looking back on this round for Brian Harman, there are probably 2 swings in particular that he wish he would had back. The drive on number 6 that led to his lone drop shot of the day, and the drive on number 16 as well. Just handcuffing him on the easiest hole on the back 9. He gave himself like a 50-foot look for birdie. And even though he probably obviously would have loved to make the putt on 18 to force the playoff. But I think tonight when he looks back on his round, he's going to look back at how he played 16 and going through that hole with only making a par, not a birdie, and coming up 1 shot short.
I don't want to just continue to rip Xander Schauffele, Greg, but I want this to be taken as a compliment for Brian Harman and the other guys. It just feels different when Wyndham Clark is trying to win a golf tournament, when Brian Harman is like trying to gut out a golf tournament, when Scottie Scheffler trying to gut out a golf tournament. Brian Harman, and we've talked about this a lot, just gets the most out of everything. He was so he was so disappointed in that effort that he gave on that putt on 18. And it wasn't a great effort, but like to even give himself that chance, I don't know, man. These guys are different.
But they're playing offense.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about it. It feels like Xander goes into prevent defense mode from time to time. He didn't today on 17, which was huge. But Brian Harman and Wyndham Clark are trying to win the golf tournament. They probably are disappointed going to 18 to only have an opportunity to force a playoff. I bet Brian Harman's disappointed with that the putt on 17 didn't fall. He hit a great putt there as well. But they play offense and they try to go win. And it's really fun to watch. There were very few tentative swings from Brian Harman. Even before the drop shot at number 6, he hit a lot of high quality iron shots right at the flag. He did it every single round after the opening round in this tournament. And it looked like he was trying to make birdie on every hole. And it's a tough golf course, and there's a lot of nervy shots, but these guys don't play as if they're nervous. They play as if they believe they can make birdie, and they plan to. And that's why they make so many of them.
Scottie Scheffler, Brian Harman, Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, first and 3 tied for second, which is a sick event, and obviously coming down the stretch. I'm just kind of looking through the rest of the leaderboard. You know, we spent a lot of time on those guys. I think it was well deserved. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Rory shot an even par 72 after making bogey on 18 to finish T19. Ludwig had another top 10. He's a sicko. Hideki's playing great golf again, right? I mean, what do we want to get to here? Actually, hold that thought. Because I'm being told that we are going to get another voice into the conversation. Do I have him?
Breaking.
That right there is Kyle Porter. KP, welcome to the conversation.
What a week. Truly, what a week.
I think you owe a royalty to Greg every time you say that.
Wow.
You do.
Do I have to pay in FedEx Cup points or actual
dollar?
It's just
yeah. Can I Venmo request FedEx Cup points?
Yeah. Just a banger of a tournament, Patrick.
Oh, I mean, was it an all-timer? Because I kind of think it was.
Well, I mean, you got to give me a window there. I think it was the best tournament since the start of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, US Open was up there, but the crowd here was better. PGA was really good last year. I think it was the best tournament since the start of 2023.
Okay.
It was
all-timer.
I'm unwilling to go further back than that because I thought the St. Andrews Open was extraordinary. I don't. You guys probably talked about Scottie a ton. My takeaway from him, obviously he has the gifts, Rick. I mean, we could just spend 3 hours on rickrungood.com or Data Golf or whatever. I think to win the way he did, which was basically like being the biggest dog in the field and like, you know, gutting it out when he had nothing. I mean, ball speed's down, swing speed's down. Like he just is like slapping it around and he still wins. Like that's scary. That's terrifying.
Well, isn't that kind of the illustration of what we've said? He's that much better than everyone else. So when he doesn't have his A game, he can still be like, we got the actual reality to do that this week. You could see he was hurt. The ball speed out, he wasn't, and it was still good enough to keep himself in it and eventually win.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's also like, yes, you're correct. But it was also a little binary in that he could have just withdrawn, right? Like he could have, and I don't know how close it got to that. So what you're saying is correct, but also I'm impressed by the fact that it was the binary, like him staying in the tournament, you know, because I've had that. The thing that he's talking about, he like went into this whole explanation about it. I'm 39, so I've had that before, like the crick where you like, Smiley was talking about how he couldn't turn and you like you can't turn your neck, so you gotta do this to talk to somebody. That happens to me like twice a year, and it is awful. It is the worst.
Debilitating.
And to win the players like that I'm in bed for like 3 days when that happens.
So according to Teddy Scott, per Will Gray, on Friday, Teddy Scott told his wife that he doesn't think Scottie's going to play over the weekend.
Wow. Well, he did.
Some would say.
That's pretty good.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, that to me just,
Well,
it is, he's got the gifts, he's got the game, he's got the skill, but to be able to lean on that physically and mentally is, what do you do if you're like, what are you thinking if you're like Peter Malnati going to these tournaments with Scottie Scheffler in them?
Thank God I'm on the policy board.
You're thinking 19th pays a lot of money.
I mean, truly, like, I
have a chance until I miss my first putt.
I'm Yeah, I'm gonna dive into this. Patrick, maybe me and Patrick can go back and forth on it on Monday, but I think Scottie's getting into the like best since Tiger conversation. I think you have to do it for a while. Like you can't just get on like a 6-month run. Like we can't be talking about Cam Smith being best since Tiger. But when you're doing it for 2 years, 3 years, okay, you can start to like kind of get into that conversation a little bit.
Any non-Scottie related items? Yes, we've spent quite a lot of time on the big four there. Scottie Scheffler, Brian Harman, Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark. We've done the hole by hole stuff. We've gotten to that portion.
I feel I know they tied. I feel very differently about Wyndham and Xander.
What are those feelings?
I don't know if that's fair to either of them because they ended up in the exact same position, but I think Wyndham, I tweeted this on Saturday and people kind of were piling on. I think he's kind of like a dude, like a killer. Like he's like not scared of the moment. And I feel a little bit the opposite about Xander, which again, a little unfair. I don't think he had his swing. I mean, he was clearly like searching for something on the weekend with his swing. He scrambled his something off. But I don't just he had it right there. Xander had it right there. And you bogey 14 and 15. And it just is like, yeah, I kind of expected that. Like I would have been more surprised if he didn't do that, you know? And I don't know. I feel excited about Wyndham.
How we put it was, it feels like Xander can't really take a punch. And then Wyndham this entire weekend, I mean, he's black and blue. All he was doing was taking body shots over the last 36 holes. And there he is with the best chance to force a playoff with Scheffler.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the difference between the two of them, it felt like.
Keeps moving forward.
Keeps coming back up.
How bad was the shot he hit into 17 on Saturday?
Oh my God. It was the worst shot he's probably hit
in 3 years.
It is up there with Brendan Todd hitting it onto the island or almost hitting it onto the island is like the worst shot I've ever seen on 17.
Yes. He was 20 yards short on a 120-yard shot.
This is a good one. Josh said his worst shot since the 18th tee shot at LACC.
Wow.
Yeah, but that one found the fairway.
How about did you read his quotes about that post round? Hilarious.
He kind of threw his caddy under. He was like, I don't want to throw my caddy under the bus, but here's the bus and there's my caddy.
He did it twice. He did the tee shot on 12. He goes, I didn't want to go for it. It's a layup hole. He told me to go for it, but I'm not throwing him under the bus. And then he did the same for 17.
You know, he does get to make the final call on those if they disagree. He is the
He's
ball.
like, yeah, it's Rick Ellis, ELLIS, but I'm not throwing him under the bus.
Yeah. This is the address.
That's funny. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We could talk about more of these guys because we've got to recap our best bets. We've got to recap this stupid one and done competition. But first, we're gonna take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
It's time for the madness. And CBS Sports HQ has your wall-to-wall NCAA tournament coverage. We got your game highlights, expert analysis, and insights all the way to the Final Four. Start and end your March Madness coverage with CBS Sports HQ.
And we're back. Let's throw up the grid, which is it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. 3 out of 4 matchups. I had Hideki over Jason Day. Kyle had Ludwig over Patrick Cantlay. Greg had Doug Kim over Brendan Todd.
Yeah, baby.
Talk about a couple of these guys here. KP, Ludwig, another top 10.
He's sick, man. He's so good. He just is like, and Craig could probably talk about this for an hour, but it's just so repeatable. Like, I don't think you can go to a place where he can't just get it around. He's awesome. Cantlay, I don't know what's going on with him.
I got a little nervous because I was on him last week. Got disappointed, obviously, but he was at about 8:55 a.m. on Thursday. He was tied for the lead, and I was like, "Oh crap!" Like it's gonna be a Cantlay week, and then by 9:20, it was.
He's been
a lot of extracurriculars.
Yeah, for sure. He's been low key terrible at this course too.
Greg, Doug Ghim. Doug Ghim was a big winner this week. Not only did he play well, make a lot of money, had a couple of moments, and beat Brendan Todd.
So funny story about this one. I was looking today. I got a bunch of handwritten notes from the beginning of the week, and I had a couple matchups that I was between, contemplating. And I starred one that was Chris Kirk over Harris English. And I thought I put that in the chart. And Harris English is going nuts this morning. Shoots 30 on the front nine, beats Chris Kirk by 1, and I'm all disappointed. I look at the rundown later when Josh sends it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. I switched to Doug Ghim, who I was all over. You'll see on the next page, there's a little more Doug Ghim here. We're not done with him yet. But I was so relieved that I made the right call there. And Doug Ghim playing some really good golf, and it was great to see him have another good week here at the Players.
You also got yourself in the win column on the outrights. Scottie Scheffler, 5.5 to 1. Congratulations.
Yeah. Had to be in this. I thought about it. I was like, well, there's obviously they're not great odds, right? It's not, but everybody else is going to be wrong. So I should almost just put Scottie in the outright on the left and the outright on the right. Just double down on him. Yeah. I mean, nobody's ever done that. It's an option, but I'm not sure there's ever been as sure of a bet here. The other thing that helped me with this one is I think I was the last one to enter all these in there. And I saw that Scottie wasn't in this chart. And part of me was like, he just has to be in there.
So you got the right side of the draw, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I got the right. Yep. I was in the beneficial wave.
Best bets, please. I will just say Matt Fitzpatrick did not miss the cut. It was kind of the opposite end of the leaderboard. KP, yours was just a little bit better. You had Justin Thomas to finish inside the top 20.
Yeah,
what is he doing?
I don't know. He was all over the planet. I will say, having the cut where it was like meaningful, I thought made this. I don't want to get into like a signature event conversation, but it made this tournament feel like more real.
It feels like a major.
Yeah, where it's not just like, oh, we're cutting 7 guys, which is so weird and like not. It almost makes it feel less meaningful. But having this cut, it was like, oh, like real guys are fighting. Like I was invested in JT, I was invested in Spieth, I was invested in Ricky, like all these guys that were kind of bouncing around the cut line, and you're really invested in it, and it feels like a major. It feels like a meaningful thing to get to the weekend at the Players Championship.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Greg, you foreshadowed this, an extra winner on Doug Ghim, top 30 for you.
Yeah, I could have been a little more aggressive. He ended up finishing T13. Nope, not T13, T16. So I didn't have much room to play with. But look, this kid's impressive. He's been playing some really good golf. We talked about it last night. Rick kind of did it in a different way this week with some more short game and putt in, which I think is actually a good sign for him going forward. But something about TPC Sawgrass got the best of Doug Ghim, which was cool to see.
And Patrick McDonald, for the second straight week, has cashed his best bet on Scottie Scheffler to win. Last week, 7 to 1. This week, 5.5 to 1. And he has vaulted up the standings and is now the big winner of the best bet categories. Hat tip. Congratulations, Patrick.
King in the castle. I mean, this is just going to be my best bet for the rest of the year.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Repeat.
Just let it
keep
ride.
it going. I've built up, 440. So I got about 8.5 tournaments worth. I think Scheffler is going to win during that span.
Probably 2 of them.
We're just going to roll it in. I mean, he's playing in Texas next. That's a dub. Come on. Home state, home game.
I mean,
He might go off at like minus 250.
Is he? Yeah. I mean, truly, like I don't. I'm sure we had some Rorys in there that were like 3-1 when he was rolling, but
DJ.
The shortest full field odds that we've got, and DJ was 3-1 at Pebble Beach one year, but he withdrew on Tuesday.
okay.
John Rahm was 3.5-1 when he won in Mexico the first year.
Okay. With Finau.
I think Rory has gotten to like 4.5 or 5 in some situations, but Rory's never really the lone guy in a weaker field, which is kind of what you need in some of these scenarios. So yeah, if Scottie were to go play a weak field event in Texas, he legitimately might be 2.5-1.
Yeah, it feels like he should be even money.
It would not be, based on what we've seen in the last 5 years. It would not. I would not be surprised if they were like, "Oh yeah, Scottie's 2-1 or 2.5-1."
I think one thing that really impresses me about him, Rick. I mean, there's a lot, but he just has such ability to stay in the moment and to focus and to be disciplined in ways that, like, I don't. This is half baked, but I think when he says, "Hey, I'm not like reading golf stuff. I kind of get away from golf." I think he means that, and I think that's really hard for a lot of guys to do who are just so wrapped up in it, like we are. And I think that really benefits his like his mental space just seems so clear compared to some other guys.
Agreed. Yeah, no, he is full on, and now fully confident Scottie entering major championship season is just scary. Stop.
Very scary. KP, I think you hit the nail on the head last week with Scottie of him carrying like the correct amount. I thought that was like a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, he cares a lot, but he also is able to let things go quickly, which is, it's so like that middle ground is just, it's really hard to balance those, and he does it very well.
The one and done, which I'm not sure we need to do this every single week anymore. The one and done, I think we've just kind of outgrown it. I think that we can just end it. We don't need to play this anymore.
This stings.
So if you couldn't tell, I had Justin Thomas and got $0. So I'm 1.9 million. Patrick, you had Russell Henley and also got $0, but at least you had the 4 million from Scottie last week.
Yeah. Kyle, you weren't here for this segment, but what was your favorite moment of my reign atop the one and done? I think mine was picking Russell Henley this week.
I made $100 off of your reign as the one and done leader.
So you made more than Justin Thomas.
Yeah. I want that 100 added to my total here. I want to have 1.9 million, $1,964,684.
I'll allow it. I just want it out there though. As for the top 10 player Russell Henley in this field conversation, there is a publication out there that does rankings, Golf Week, and he's number 8. So
yeah, Ben On is ahead of like Joaquin Neiman.
It's I never responded to that, Patrick, but I think it's like head to head. It's the Sagarin. It's like it's like if you how many people did you beat head to head in a given it's kind of like scoring or strokes gained a little bit, but I don't know if it's normalized for field strength or anything like that.
Right. So if you finish first and there's 144 guys in the field, you went 143-0 against everybody else.
Right. And so they weight it by like top 50 or top 10, like how many of the top 50 guys you beat, stuff like that.
So then, if you finish middle of the pack next week, you went, 72 and 72, and now you're, 272 is your new record. And yeah,
So how does distance per shot factor into all this, or is that a different publication?
I think that's different.
That's good.
That was good.
God, distance per shot. I just can't believe that made it through however many people have made it.
By the way, Scottie's last 5 finishes: first, third, sixth, 10th. Guess which one I picked him for?
Me too. At Riviera, right?
Oh yeah,
The most upset and the worst he's been.
first.
So nobody has Scottie anymore.
third, sixth. No, he gone.
I
mean, most of the big money events are done, Greg.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, you got 4 majors, but and only 2 more. You got Wells Fargo, Memorial, Wells Fargo Memorial, Travelers, and Harbortown
playoff events. There's a lot more left.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I just meant like a lot. Yeah, not most, but if you're taking out the majors, which aren't going to be, well, one of them's 20 mil, U.S. Open,
And they might. I mean, who knows? It might be. U.S. Open might say, "Hey, here's 25 mil." But no, you're right. They're not going to be as big as what we just had this week.
Right. Yeah. So you got to pick those live boys for the majors.
KP, you did get Decky, who's playing great golf. 875,000. That is a, what did he finish? 5th? T6.
Very good pick.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick bumped him at the end. Hideki, for a while, I think he finished second from tee to green. He was leading for a long time until Scottie hit everything to 10 feet on the back 9.
So what did he win, Hideki? 800,000?
875.
This is the hardest thing about, like, that's a great pick. It's a great week.
And I'm second to last.
You get steamrolled because it's, it's like a full $3 million behind. It's just killer.
Yeah.
So Josh, Greg, Mark, all picked Scottie Scheffler, all got 4.5 million. Josh, Greg, and Mark are now 1, 2, and 3. Greg, you're you get to be the voice for the trio of Scotties at the top.
Yeah. The Players Championship is the scariest event for one and done, or has been, because of Justin Thomas. Like, Justin Thomas, really good pick, but stars miss the cut at the Players every single year, and it is so hard to predict until now, because I think next year there is quite an obvious pick for the Players Championship. It just seems like Scottie's kind of unlocked a code here that we didn't think was possible. But when you hit the ball, when you have the control over the golf ball that he does, I mean, it never feels like the hazards are in play for Scottie Scheffler, and they're in play for just about everybody else. So it felt obvious. I will be honest. There was a moment where I said I may have gotten a little greedy and should have taken him last week with Patrick, but I'm glad I held off.
So just for posterity, here are the updated standings. Josh has 6.7 million. Greg has 6.1. Mark has 5.5. Patrick has 4.9. Kyle has 2.7. And I have $1.9 million. The leaders of the overall Run Your Pool, of course, at the top is the big boy team with
I need a big boy.
9.7 million. And that's without, so nobody could have picked Scottie both weeks. So 9.7 million without, with only using Scottie for one of those weeks. Because it's
probably
crazy.
Wyndham at Pebble maybe as well.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And that'll get you to 7.5.
And first name only, 9.5 million. BA314, 9.5. Mike M, 9.4. And Mark's dad is in 5th with $9 million. That's
maybe.
Johan.
Did he confirm it?
He did.
He denied it.
Well,
I thought he denied it.
He
confirmed to deny.
He confirmed that it's not him.
Right. Yeah.
But I like it better.
Maybe it's Trevor. Maybe Trevor's just sneaking in there.
Yeah, maybe
under his dad's alias.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble for making picks every single week. I'll go in as wine lover Johan.
Yeah, well, why not?
All right, gents. Anything else?
Amazing tournament. So many things that happened that, I mean, Ricky screaming at a fan. Yeah, I don't know if you guys talked about that.
Out of character.
Oh my gosh. You.
And then like he realized, like, because you don't just say you, right? Like you'd be like, you stupid mother bleeper. Like I would, like he realized that like I better not say anything else.
But
and
he
then,
like pointed.
He turned into a Cameron Crazy after someone from UNC commits a foul.
You.
That was so unexpected.
17 was awesome. 17 was sweet today. It was so hard, and then those guys hit the shots in the final pair. It was just an awesome tournament. Just an awesome tournament. And then we're back to the normal nonsense tomorrow with the PIF meeting.
Yeah.
Who do you think's leading that convo? Malnati?
Did you read his comments?
I tried to.
He basically said the pendulum swung too far the other direction. Players have too much say now.
He's
And you're like, he is right. He's also one of those players.
Yeah, but also he's not. He's technically one of the players with say, but I don't think he's technically one of the. He's in the middle. He's like, yeah, I'm a player, but I don't have any say, even though the players have say.
Yeah, that's fair.
So he sees both sides of it.
I don't know. What a weird. I don't know. The whole thing is
Imagine
very strange.
Like, okay, so like what, 7 PGA Tour guys are going to walk into a private residence that is lined with Secret Service level security. Like, I don't know. It just, the whole thing seems bizarre.
I'm laughing at the thought of Jordan Spieth like going up, shaking Yoster's hand, and introducing himself. Hey, I'm Jordan Spieth.
Yeah. Giving him swing tips.
It's gonna be good, man.
Where'd you think
I've heard a lot about you.
Yeah. How would you have handled that on Live? I know you guys are shelling out pace of play penalties.
The slow play is, I'm in.
Yeah, they're the only organization that has like penalized somebody for slow play in recent memory.
Which is hilarious. I swear they're doing it just to like rile up people like us.
Yeah,
No
I
question.
swear, like they're just, it's like a PR thing almost.
Completely.
So funny. All right, gents. Well, next week, Valspar week, the Snake Pit, the Sam Burns Invitational, all that fun stuff. Big thanks to producer Josh, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Patrick McDonald. You can find him at P McDonald CBS. That's Greg DuCharme, who you can find at The Real GFD. That is Kyle Porter, who you can find at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.